In order to know your students, you need to have data about them. Data does not have to come only from state tests or standardized tests. Data can come in a lot of ways in the classroom. The best way to capture student data is formative assessment. You can use technology or not to capture that data, but once you have the data about your students, what they know and what they don't know, where their next appropriate instructional level is, that's when you can really start to make gains with student achievement. Students need to know where they stand as well in the classroom when it comes to data. So if you have standards-based instruction and the students know what they're learning and what they're supposed to be learning, they know the steps along that learning path, they can make decisions about their own learning. If students know where they are on their learning path, they are more likely to be able to reach that next level because they see what they're learning for and they see where their learning is leading them. One of the biggest challenges with data-driven decision-making in schools is understanding what data is. Data is more than just state test scores. It's much more than that. Data is something you can collect on a daily basis. It does not have to be something that's graded. It does not have to come from a formal assessment. Data is knowing what your students know and what they need to know next.
Data decision making, the most important thing is the formative instructional practices that teachers engage in on a daily basis. And it's those formative instructional practices that generate data that drive instruction to the individual learner, and that is how we differentiate our instruction for our kids. So for me, the most important data that we collect is that formative measure of a student or an aggregate student body's learning. The other really important question around data is the so what question. You know, I think many times we are data rich, but it's the so what. So what do we do with the data and how is it driving our instruction to maximize and personalize every student's learning?
In order to talk about data, you have to talk about the elephant in the room, and that word is data. Data is a very polarizing concept for teachers and sometimes for students and parents. So for us, we look at data as the beginning of a conversation and a story. And that data is always attached to a child and a student and their experiences. So whether we're talking about informal data that we're gathering through observation in the learning process, or sets of data where you're looking at student achievement and growth, the most important feature is that you're bringing it back to the conversation around students and their learning and their experiences.